Hello, greetings lovers of truth and welcome to today's episode of my video. Watch this.
So you may be surprised to learn that one of the things that actually turned me to Christianity is the Quran. So roughly around the age of 32, 33, I started reaching for God heavily. I needed God in my life. I've always had faith, but I strayed from religion. I was born into a Muslim family in a country that is probably one of the most strict Muslim countries in the world. And as a teenager, every time I read the Quran, right around the part where it allowed a man to strike a woman, is where I would put it down and say, well, there are beautiful things in that book. Some of it seems like man injected his word. And so I've always had a strong faith in God, but not a strong faith in religion. And that is because I made the mistake of judging the books by the students. But like I said, in my mid-30s, I started reaching for God. So I picked up the Quran. It was what was natural to me. You want to reach for God? You pick up the Quran, you start reading the word. So I started reading the Quran, but I was very familiar with the Bible. Every time I would travel anywhere, I would open the drawers and I would just crack open the Bible and I would read it. So I was familiar with the Bible. And a lot of the verses in the Quran that I really took to, I knew came from the Bible. I knew a lot of those stories and a lot of those teachings came from the Bible. And so I started feeling like I'm reading part 2. So I said I should probably read part 1 if I'm going to read part 2. So I started reading the Bible in unison with the book History of God. And I just started researching heavily. And the Bible started resonating with me. But also one of the things that I learned in that book is the life of Muhammad and the process that he went through to developing Islam. In the beginning, he actually started teaching Judaism to his followers. Allah already existed in that region. It's just people didn't have a strong faith in God. And they were jealous of the Christians and of the Jews because they had their own prophets and they didn't have one. And Muhammad witnessed all of this. And at first he started teaching Jewish values to them. They would pray 3 times a day. They would pray in the direction of Jerusalem. But once the Jews started attacking his followers and started turning their backs on him, is when he changed it to 5 times a day prayer, is when he changed it to face Mecca instead of Jerusalem during prayer. And not only that, Muhammad's wife's cousin was Christian, who would teach Christian values to Muhammad. And so the book spoke very positively of Islam. It does seem like a lot of his teachings, 1, came from the Bible, and 2, were methodical. While there may be some revelation from the Holy Spirit or from Angel Gabriel, some of the things the Quran just got wrong. We have undeniable evidence, historical evidence, based on how we judge history, that Christ existed, which Muslims agree with. But we also have undeniable historical evidence that Christ was crucified, and the Quran gets that wrong. So there's multiple verses that tell you to go read the Bible if you want to confirm what Muhammad is saying. But there are also verses that say Christ was never crucified. And while there aren't a lot of differences in the faith, the main difference is that Muslims don't believe Christ is the Son of God. And once I understood the Trinity, once I understood the historical facts about Christ, that his existence and his miracles are historically accurate, not only that, there are